Will the Golden Knights overlook the Chicago Blackhawks tonight at T-Mobile Arena as VGK faces the worst road team in the National Hockey League? We'll get into that discussion next, right here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas, along with the new jazzy music. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. We appreciate you doing so. And please make sure that you subscribe to Locked On Golden Knights, our YouTube channel. We are brought to you today by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Chris, VGK will try to maintain its focus tonight when the Golden Knights play game number 81. Geez, that's hard to believe, right? At home against the Blackhawks. And this is a team in Chicago that has won just 7 of 39 games on the road. The worst team in the National Hockey League on the road. But we know that the Golden Knights have really struggled against non-playoff teams. Chicago fought a little bit in their latest loss to Carolina. That was at home, and they lost 4-2 on Sunday. The difference there in that game was on special teams. I guess we could start there. Tonight they will face a VGK team, Chicago will, that has 6 power play goals since Tomas Hertl joined the lineup. And that's one area that VGK can exploit tonight because Carolina scored twice on the power play against the Blackhawks on Sunday. Let's start there.
Yeah, I mean, Hertl, all he needed was some dude to plant his butt in front of the goaltender and set some screens, and that was that, right? So I guess one player fixed all the Golden Knights power play drama. So, hey, listen, whatever it takes, I guess, right? Whatever it takes. And then now you have to wonder when Mark Stone comes back, how that power play looks. Are Hertl and Stone going to be out there? Because they're essentially the same player, and who gets bumped in that circumstance, because you need players to be able to create some motion and movement. So definitely a good thing. And you just see like there's a horse racing thing. Back when I was learning about betting horses and stuff, I actually read a book about handicapping and stuff. I don't know how good it was or not, but the Z theory. You ever read about the Z theory, Tony?
Mm-mm.
So basically, it's when a horse is putting together little bits and pieces of their race game, so to speak. So in their first race, they broke out of the gate really well, but then they got tired. In their second race, they came out of the gate a little slow, but then in the mid stages, they got going. And then in their third race, they only, had a good closing kick, but nothing else. So basically, you're looking at different aspects. That's where the Z comes in, I guess. And then the guy's name is, I don't know. But point being is, all these different things are starting to come together for the Golden Knights, besides the goaltending, but all these different things are starting to come together for the Golden Knights. And now is when they possibly go out there and, win that race, connecting the dots back to the horse theory. So that's how you might be able to find a price on a horse. If you see some 25-1 long shot or something, look closely at the program and see if there's little bits and pieces in the last couple of races that suggest they might be getting it all together. There you go, Tony. Good start.
Okay, so the only Z theory that I had was Z fixed. All the races were Z fixed.
Z fixed?
Yeah. So Connor Bedard leads the NHL rookies, 60 points, 22 goals, and he was held for the 4th time on Sunday without a shot on goal. So everyone obviously just game planning around him. He missed 6 weeks of the season. We remember the broken jaw with Bedard. He really is something special. Doesn't have a huge supporting cast, I should say, around him. And that hit by Brendan Smith actually knocked him out for 6 weeks. Didn't play against. Oh, the other Connor didn't play against VGK, but this Connor will. That's just stupid. I don't know where that's on the napkin.
Okay, my turn. But I wasn't sure if that was my opening or not there.
I don't know where I was going with that, but go
It
ahead.
happens like the Z theory. This is a Z. This is a Z show today. This is the Z show today. Bedard, the best thing about Bedard, I mean, there's a lot of great things about Bedard, but what I enjoy about his game is his quick release. He can get the shot, a quality shot, off his stick, it seems like faster than anybody in the NHL. And you do see bits and pieces of his game coming together. He's able to beat you one-on-one. He's able to beat you in a race. He's not that physical, and that'll come in time as he grows and just gain some weight. Dude's pretty small right now, and if he's not careful, someone is going to plant him. You do watch some of the moves that he does make out there, and he's got to keep his head up. Otherwise, Braden McNabb's going to hip check him into the first row, and he's going to be eating some nachos. I guess a question I do have about tonight's game is the lineup, and this kind of ties in, of course, to the second segment, but is VGK going to sit anyone at this point? There's a lot of teams that are kind of talking about that. Florida Panthers and just a few other random teams that you're seeing considering sitting some players. And Coach Cassidy did mention that it depends on the individual player, and obviously the VGK circumstances will play into that. And we'll talk about this strange, simple yet complicated circumstance in the second segment.
Okay, the Hawks, by the way, 3-10-1 without Bedard, so he's definitely important to them. They have had the injury bug, as you know, Taylor Hall, the ACL injury early in the season, the right knee, and back on the ice, but they're not going to play him till next season. So that's happening. And Connor Murphy, also the defenseman, back on the ice after having some injury issues. Do you realize that VGK, if they win through all these struggles and mayhem this season, if they win out, they will have 100 points? That's really hard to believe.
I want to find out whether I put it in print or on the podcast, but my window was 98 to 102. I'm pretty sure my window was 98 to 102. So we're definitely closing right in on that. But although if the team would have been healthy, that number would have been absolutely slayed. Like, I don't think it was due to, I mean, yeah, there was a lot of bumps along the way as far as effort and poor play go, but injuries could have easily between 6 and 10 points. No, I mean, I think Mark Stone being gone for basically the second half of the season ish, you can chalk up 6 to 8 points right there with him being out of the lineup. Then obviously Eichel and of course William Karlsson missed some games in there, Tony, this year. That definitely affected things. And you had some goaltending issues, you had some goaltending injuries, and all the above. And that's I'm sure we'll find the segment for goaltending again. But that's really the biggest question right now for the Golden Knights heading into the playoffs.
In addition to Bedard, VGK has to keep an eye on another sensational rookie. That's Frank Nazar, who played in the Frozen Four last week on Thursday, as he plays for the University of Michigan, and they lost to Boston College. And then on Sunday, he suited up for the Blackhawks, and he scored a goal in his first NHL game on his very first shot.
That's awesome.
How crazy is that?
I could be wrong, but Jonathan Taves might have done the same thing where he finished his college year, then he came in late, or he finished his college year and came in the next year. Either way, kind of a similar thing right there. And listen, the Blackhawks, I mean, they are what they are as far as their record goes, but it's not indicative of what's about to happen in the madhouse on Madison Street. You look at the San Jose Sharks, you're trying to figure out what's happening over there as far as their rebuild goes. Well, the Blackhawks have a pretty clear direction, and of course it's a little bit easier to build around someone like a Connor Bedard, so that definitely helps. But other young players, I mean, Kurashev is another one. Dickinson, I don't know if he's a young player, but he's having a good season. Vlasic is younger. Reichel is someone who's just Jekyll and Hyde. Reichel had very high expectations. I talked about him a lot on this show. He's only got 15 points in 63 games. See if he can figure it out. Taylor Radish, another youngster. I mean, I can go on and on and on with all the young players in this lineup. And, they're alive in the lottery, right? They might get Celebrini depending on how rigged the lottery is. There you go, Tony. That was for you. So we'll see. I mean, if the Blackhawks do get the first pick 2 years in a row and they land Celebrini, oh God, mayhem. I love it. Mayhem.
No, it'd be great though, because then you have the Blackhawks pretty much building the nucleus for the future. This Nazar kid, they're high on him. Of course, as we know, Connor Bedard, those other pieces. Taylor Hall does come back next season. They did have just one move there during the trade deadline time, and that was Anthony Beauvillier went to Nashville, but that was it. A lot of folks thought, did you think that they would make more moves?
I mean, I think it really depended on what happened with all of their injuries and stuff throughout the year. I mean, there's only so much that team could have done. You had the Corey Perry situation, you had Taylor Hall going down, and so many other things. And this season was just about keeping afloat, getting the youngsters, just throwing them to the fire, including Connor Bedard. Real fast, Peter Mrazek, I'm assuming that's who the Golden Knights are going to see tonight. Mrazek, all things considered, having a good season. Record is 18-30-4, 307 goals
Great
against.
season.
But 907 save percentage.
Interesting.
907 save percentage, folks. That matches Logan Thompson, and it's only 3/1,000ths of a points lower than Aiden Hill. So, whereas, I mean, save percentage for me, that's what matters. I don't care about anything else when it comes to stats. But I also still like plus minus as a stat, and people say that's useless. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, which is pretty likely. But Mrazek isn't going to be an easy out for the Golden Knights. And like I said, it just depends if they want to win this game tonight, Tony. It just really depends if they want to win this game tonight.
And Chicago did play. They did have some resistance, and they played. And that game decided against Carolina with about 3.5 minutes or so to go in that contest. And there was, I think, probably a William Karlsson special, a.k.a. an empty netter, I think, that made that score.
Well, they also beat the Dallas Stars back on April 6th, 3-2. So, I mean, they beat the Flyers 5-1. At the time, the Flyers were
playing
really
hard.
Exactly. So, I mean, like I said, it depends which version of the Golden Knights show up. I mean, listen, this is game 81. The Golden Knights are in Vegas right now. They've had a full day in Vegas. Well, yeah, no, I'm sure they flew to Chicago. I'm sure they flew to. I'm sure they flew to Vegas Monday morning and had a full night in Vegas to do stuff. So you might get a little bit of a game 81 Vegas flu from the Chicago Blackhawks as well.
Bedard turned 21, right? Probably. Okay.
I don't think so.
Coming up next.
He's 18 or 19.
Oh, that's right. He's just a pup. All right. He's not 21. Coming up. Why did I see him at the tables last night? JK. Just kidding. Coming up next, we've got a Pacific Division. I don't know. Coming up next, Pacific Division update. And can VGK choose their opponent? That's what it says on the slate. We don't have must win on that slate. Very disappointing. We'll be back with more right after this on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. It is playoff time in the NBA and the NHL, and baseball's in full swing. And FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks. And that's all on the app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. We are back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. These allergies are killing me. We appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much, especially our everydayers. And Chris wants to give a shout out to someone he met the other day by name. Just kidding. You forgot his name, remember? Didn't you? No.
It was yesterday.
Yeah. I know. We had some technical issues, I think, on the podcast yesterday. So it's up there today, yesterday's show. Of course, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. That's where you find the Chris and Chris show on Saturdays, Fridays, WTF Day, everywhere. VGK can move up in the standings with a couple of wins in the final 2 games of this season, 96 points. The Kings still with a 1-point lead over the Golden Knights. LA now has played 81 games and VGK 80. And I feel like the Kings don't want to play Edmonton. They're trying to avoid Edmonton. And it appears as though they might be tanking to play Dallas and not Edmonton. There's so many shenanigans, I think, that are going on. We still have VGK with an opportunity to catch the Nashville Predators. Their regular season, believe it or not, in Nashville is done. And VGK could pass. They could pass the Preds with a couple of wins here. So Nashville could have clinched the points record there to be in wild card 1, but they lost to the Penguins, and they could play Vancouver. VGK could play Vancouver now. You've got Nashville can play Vancouver or Dallas, and you have the Kings, which next will play the Chicago Blackhawks on Thursday. We will legitimately see if they are tanking, right? I think
Golden Knights play the Ducks on Thursday. Can you imagine if both teams are trying to lose that game? You got the Golden Knights trying to lose to the Ducks, and the Kings trying to lose to the Hawks. Like, this could be worse than like preseason week. I guess it's week 18 now instead of week 17, but NFL week 18.
No, Pittsburgh in that game against Nashville. The odd stat: they beat Nashville the other night. And they also had 2 goals waved off in that game for goalie interference. So that was crazy. But 99 points, 99 left balloon points for the Predators. And does VGK, I think the best matchup for them out of the 3 teams would be Vancouver. So win-win-win, right?
Well, Vancouver is the most unlikely situation, though. That's the problem right now. So Nashville, first of all. What's that?
Nashville right now is sitting to play Vancouver? No?
So here's the situation. The LA Kings kind of put a fork in things last night. They put a wrench into things last night by losing to the Wild. The Nashville Predators are now locked on. They're locked in to wild card 1. That is not going to change. No way, no how. If the Golden Knights were to pass Nashville, they would have to have 100 points. If the Golden Knights finish with 100 points, they then pass the LA Kings. The LA Kings can only top out at 99 points. So there is no way, shape, or form the Golden Knights can finish wild card 1, which would be almost a certain matchup with the Vancouver Canucks. Now, here's where all the asterisks and stuff come into things right now. If the Edmonton Oilers, they are still mathematically alive, if the Edmonton Oilers pass the Vancouver Canucks for the Pacific Division Championship, then if the Golden Knights climb to 3rd place in the Pacific, it would be Golden Knights Canucks. I think that's the least likely of scenarios. So now you look at the Golden Knights and the Kings situation. The Golden Knights got a couple of cookies, call it what it is. They got the Blackhawks, they got the Ducks, both games at home. Yes, anything can happen. We saw what Chicago did to Pittsburgh last year and how it changed the course of history for both franchises. Knocks Pittsburgh out of the playoffs, gets the Blackhawks apparently in the spot they needed to be so they could get Connor Bedard. So you never know what's going to happen. You also don't know what the Kings want to happen. You also don't know what the Golden Knights want to happen. The Golden Knights can, for lack of a better term, coast right into wild card 2 if they would like, which would lock them up with the matchup against the Dallas Stars in the first round. I don't know if that's the preferred path necessarily. I think the Stars are the strongest of the 3 teams with the Stars, the Oilers, and the Canucks. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see how the Golden Knights prepare for these games, what type of lineup that they ice for these games. It's also going to be interesting to see what the Kings do in their last game, which is going to be Thursday against Chicago.
Right.
There's a legit chance that Thursday is the biggest poop show of hockey you're going to see from the Kings and the Golden Knights if neither team wants to climb into that 3rd spot in the Pacific Division. Now, the Oilers, we know, are finishing the season on a back-to-back. I believe they have games Wednesday and Thursday. We know how much Tony is absolutely.
They just beat the snot out of San Jose 9-1.
Yeah, that wasn't even a freaking game. So Oilers are Oilers. This is going to be a tough game. Oilers are closing out the Arizona, soon-to-be Utah, Salt Lake City Coyotes, which that's
wait. So they're playing them in Arizona, and then they're playing them in Salt Lake. Is that the back-to-back?
Yeah, that's the back-to-back, and then they go to Colorado And you don't know what
Yeah, so
version of
stupid.
Colorado you're going to get. Colorado could be still trying to gain home ice advantage. Them and the Jets are really, really close. They're 1 point behind the Jets right now. So, but the Jets can obviously close that situation out because they have a 1 point lead. So, I think it's the Rodney Dangerfield meme when you like from Back to School when he's looking around. No, that was from Ladybugs, the movie Ladybugs, actually, when he was going to dress the boy as the girls' soccer player. Anyway, but the Rodney Dangerfield meme where all the numbers are popping up around him. That's what this feels like, trying to decipher all of this.
And it's still coming down to the final game of the season for a second year in a row, right? I mean, really nothing major decided there. And VGK, do you think that they want to win out, though? And then they pretty much can control at least that part of the equation with all those numbers out there?
Their most likely first-round matchups, they handled both those teams pretty well last year. I mean, the Edmonton Oilers did have a lead, I believe, in Game 6, if I do recall. But then the Golden Knights obviously turned down Game 6 and beat them. And the Dallas Stars did not pose much of a challenge to the Golden Knights. They got to a 3-0 lead. Jamie Benn goes out, and all of a sudden the Golden Knights lose 2 games, and it gets a little nerve-wracking there. But the Golden Knights took care of business in Game 6 in dramatic fashion. Not dramatic fashion. They just crushed them, and it was like 6-0 or something. Like they absolutely crushed the Stars, I believe, in Game 6, if I do recall properly. So at the end of the day, I don't know how much this honestly matters. I want to say this is a wasted segment by any means, as some of them might be. But the point being is you got to beat 4 really good teams. You got to get 16 wins to win, the most difficult trophy to win in all sports, the toughest tournament in all of sports. So it doesn't matter if they play Vancouver. Doesn't matter if they play Dallas. Doesn't matter if they play Edmonton. And either way, there's going to be a collision course at some point with one of those 3 teams, most likely in the second round. That can play out a couple different ways, but for all intents and purposes, you're going to find them at some point. So I think the biggest thing now is Mark Stone's health. Which team would you rather play without Mark Stone 100%, presumably, for the first couple of games of the series? Mark Stone's coming back Game 1. That's all but given. So that's all but a given.
And keep in mind that VGK will have to play their first games on the road. Of course,
most of their games on the road. Games on the road.
Of course, but I mean, they start off their first series on the road, and that's going to be difficult, perhaps. Coming up next, we've got our locks and predictions for tonight's game. Stay with us right here on Locked On Golden Knights. We want to remind you that you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. It's the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper, the number 1 choice for daily fantasy sports, especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contest. What players would you take this week to win 100 times the money? Fans can also play daily fantasy NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, college football, and more. And all you have to do is connect with other fans. And then Sleeper, you have projections that you need to beat for things like goals, assists, saves, Chris's plus minus in a given game. To win 100 times your bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard us, VGK fans. You can now win 100 times the money by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so that you could start winning big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use. We are back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. The Sleeper ad could be taken off, of course.
Yeah.
Appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. Thank you so much. And make sure to check out WTF What the Friday. I'll tell you, these stinking allergies are killing me today. So I'm going to get through the show, though. And, okay, so we want to do our locks and predictions. You could start first because I don't know how much longer I can last here.
I'm going to take the Teenage Mutant Ninja Hurdle to have a good effect.
Hang on 1 second here. If you don't pair him with Peter Angelo, you've lost today, bro.
I don't know when we're going to see Peter Angelo back in the lineup. So who's his Donatello? Who's his Donatello? Eichel? Icatello. Raphael. Hold on.
Okay, it's okay. Keep going.
Raphael Eichel, Teenage Mutant Ninja Hurdle, and Raphael Eichel. There we go.
Not Peter Angelo.
There it is. He's not playing, I don't think.
I know, but anyway,
it's not a long-term injury, according to Elliot Friedman, as we come into game 81 of the season. He's played like 1 in the last 10 games, but it's not a long-term injury. We'll see.
Not long-term. He's fine. He'll be back. Nothing major.
Nothing major.
Precautionary measures.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Hurdle and Raphael Eichel for my locks of the night. And I think VGK wants to win. I think VGK wants to get to that 3rd seed in the Pacific. Give me Edmonton. Give me the team with an unproven coach. Give me Edmonton, a team with a goalie who, yes, it's been a better season for Stuart Skinner, but a lot of that is because of the Oilers' defense. So Golden Knights, I think, are going to want to take care of business. Let's go 5-1 Golden Knights with Teenage Mutant Ninja Hurdle and Raphael Eichel.
Okay. I want to do something. I want to do a little prediction here. Okay. Will this Stanley Cup champion come from the East or the West? East or the West? Putting you on the spot there. The East just beats the snot out of each other, so it might be hard.
That's the thing, but I think the West, honestly, is the murderer's row this year, Tony. I mean, you got the Golden Knights, who are the most polarizing, 7, 6, 5, whatever seed they're going to wind up being in the history of the modern, playoff system. You got the Avalanche, they're faltering down the stretch, but they're still pretty dang good. The Stars are pretty dang good. The Oilers are pretty dang good. So, I mean, you got, 4 teams right there who are extremely tough. But I am with you that the East is going to beat the crap out of each other. If Florida gets to the final, they win the final. If it's anyone else, it's going to be the West. How's that?
Okay. Just make a prediction. East or West? Don't be like Mr. Replay official. Oh, that was close. That was close.
West.
I'm going East. Okay. We're on. Game on. The Z theory and all that.
Bruins, Hurricanes, maybe.
I would take Belmont Park over Santa Anita any day, but Del Mar trumps all. So, but
never been to Del Mar. I like the infield at Santa Anita. Like when you're like the guts, like the back of house of Santa Anita is garbage. But like when you're outside looking out, Santa Anita, it's beautiful. I've never been to Belmont though.
5-2 VGK tonight. Oh, did you give us a score?
5-1 VGK.
I have 5-2 VGK. I'm going to take Howden doing. And the Brett Howden line. And is he going to even play? This is great. And then I'm going to go with Marcia Salt Lake City. He's going to Salt Lake. There's no doubt. So I'm going to go to Marcia Salt Lake City.
Marcia to Salt Lake after the season. Oh, my God. That's great.
Marcia Salt Lake City. That's where he's destined to be. Yeah.
Wow.
He's got to break the record, right? He's got to play both games. They have to feed him the puck. No one wants that other guy to have the record for this team. So,
what would be amazing is if, let's just, Golden Knights tonight, right? Or no, tomorrow. Marshall gets a goal tonight. He ties the record. Thursday against the Ducks. Empty netter. Marchessault and Carlson going down the ice together. Carlson acts like he's going to pass to Marchessault, then says, No. And takes
he won't. He won't. You'll see what a puck hog he is for sure.
Carlson or Marchessault?
Out of those two, come on, is that even a choice? Hey, congrats to my New York Rangers. Not really President Cup winners there, champions there of the world, but that's surprising. And that it's going to be fun, I think. At least we'll get a couple series in, hopefully.
The vlog is coming. The vlog is coming.
We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers whose Chris forgets their names, but we shout you all out. Thank you so much. Friday is WTF, What the Friday. We'll have more shenanigans there. Saturday, the Chris and Chris Jr. Show, which is really taking off, and at least that gets uploaded, unlike yesterday's podcast. We apologize, technical issues. Thank you so much for tuning in. For my man, Chris Skarlik, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. We hit the post today. It's post time. Well, we're going to get out of here in the correct amount of time on the podcast.
Pretty good.
We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Take care.